Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Laura Haddock about The Recruit, releasing on Netflix worldwide December 16th. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, obviously today it kind of hits you because you're speaking to all this press and everything, but would you say the last couple of months it started to kind of sink in that people are finally going to be able to see this because it's announced as a release date and people are going to finally be able to see what you've been working on?
Yeah, I know. It's our little secret that we have. Now it's out and being, shared, which is great. Ultimately, it's why we did it.
No, absolutely.
we want to get eyes on it, and I'm excited that now's the time.
It's interesting because we live in a world, Laura, where we're infatuated, in my opinion, with so much genre bending content. Like there are genre bending shows that throw the genre away. And this is, in my opinion, a genre bending show. It's got the action, it's got the adventure, it's funny, and it's dramatic. Do you notice that when you're reading the script that it's like, wow, like this has a lot of genres in one show specifically?
I know. That's really funny that you said that because I was laughing with Noah this morning. I was like, you know what? I showed up to do this show and I'd done so much work and background and a lot of work on this show. So I rock up. I'm like doing some weird Girl Interrupted shit off on my own at the end of episode 1, and everybody else is playing in this like kind of comedy, spy, thriller, drama world, and then there's this funny gal at the end who's just like solid dark fringe orange in a prison trying to be like all witchy. And I turned to Noah and I was like, it was in that moment watching the first episode at the screen the other night, I was like, oh my God, we were making a comedy. I did not know. I didn't get the memo. No.
Do you also notice like the pace of it in the script as well? Because I feel like maybe not with your character, because like I said, it is more kind of like slow burn where we meet you at the prison and it's kind of like, okay, what is going on here? There's a mysterious aspect. But with Noah's stuff, I mean, we don't really waste time with the story. Like it's so quick at times like that.
And it's his second day on the job, like he's literally in his second day and then he is thrown into this situation, which is quite meta. It's like, well, yeah, it would go that quick. You are on a plane. You are trying to do damage control. You're just trying to do the right thing because you're second day on your job. So you're trying to prove to everyone that you can do it and you can do it well. And it's like, I think Owen thought that he was going to go to Yemen, do the thing, bish bash bosh, come back. There you go. Put the piece of paper on his boss's table and be like, what's next?
I know. And
he didn't know what he was getting himself into.
Is there, because you've worked on a lot of incredible films and a lot of film franchises and TV franchises, well, Downton Abbey, Transformers, like, does it feel like cinematic at like working on shows like this? Like TV has really elevated its game that it really feels cinematic in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah, I suppose you don't really feel that when you're filming it because there's an intimacy to a set when it's not, like for example Transformers and you're running from robots and the set doesn't need to be enormous. There's an intimacy of filming something like The Recruit, because for me anyway, it was, a lot of it was like either in a prison or in a room and then apart from the stunts when then you're out and playing in a bigger space. But I think the story had space to grow and the bandwidth of the story was large, and you're not just playing exactly as you said in one isolated genre. You're like really exploring all those different genres, so you can open it up and it can feel more expansive. And actually when we watched the screener in LA and we watched it on a big screen in the cinema, it really does hold up on the big screen. But Doug Liman makes movies for the big screen, so I think he always had a very sharp eye on this show feeling like it could be a movie, 8-hour movie.
Pretty much. I mean, that first episode too, as well, just feels like a movie, especially like you said, second day on the job. And I don't want to spoil things, but like, there's a lot that he has to do in the first episode.
Yeah, there's a lot. Bless him. If you went and had a look in Owen's notes in his phone, I think it would be like there'd be like 15 things that he had to complete in that first hour.
Absolutely. It's interesting you mentioned about like when I talked about it being cinematic, Laura, because when you're shooting it, you're not thinking about those things because, like you said, it feels more kind of intimate where there's not as much people. You have some scenes where it's just you and Noah, right, talking in a prison. But then there's also, I feel like, you wrap and everything. This is the type of show where you really need an active audience member to watch this. In terms of what I mean active is like you're dialed in. You don't have your phone with you. You're paying attention.
Yes, yeah. 100%. I agree.
But like you don't really think about that when you're filming it, right? Is it, or do you still think about that a little bit? Because I feel like you're focusing in the zone, but then afterwards, like, wow, we're really making something where like the audience member strapped in, like going on a roller coaster and has to be like a detective almost.
Yeah, for sure. I don't ever have that, if I'm completely honest, in my sphere of thinking when I'm actually filming it. But that does, bleed in, and you do start, thinking about that during the post-production months of a project. And but I hear you with how we watch television now. I personally love that series drop on streaming network. I like the fact that I can just watch 8 episodes because I'm a bit greedy in that sense, and I think that's now so part of the way that we consume content. So it'd be difficult to go back to just like one a week. I find that quite laborious, even though now weeks fly. Weeks go much quicker as an adult than they did as a kid. So actually, before you know it, you're back at Wednesday in a heartbeat. So it wouldn't take that long, but it's harder for writers now and editors to keep, they are literally writing an 8-hour film broken up into 8 episodes because people can watch it all in one go. So you have to be really careful of the line that you're creating, make sure all these characters are like really super linear.
We're getting very like deep and philosophical about like the experience of watching things.
No, sorry.
No, it's amazing. It's awesome. Well, that really interests me because there are like, this is the show where, it's a lot of fun and you like might think that you can just like have your phone and eat some pizza and come home from a late night work and just chill. But I watched the series and you'll miss things if you're not dialed in. Like you will actually miss little things. Your character specifically too.
I personally think you can have pizza, but you can't have your phone.
Okay. Well, no, I didn't mean it, but like I meant it more. No, you can have pizza. No.
I think a pizza, a beer, and the recruit sounds like heaven.
I meant it more. The more I said, of course, you're always going to have the pizza for sure. But I meant it more like you come home from work, like, oh, I'm just going to get it quick. Like, I'm going to get some pizza. I'm going to have my phone, eat the pizza, have The Office on in the background. You know what I mean? That's what I meant.
Well,
you know
it's not one of those shows that you can put on in the background while you're getting ready for something,
your character is to blame for that because your character says things in her, like, it's like she's telling Noah's character like a lot of riddles and like kind of like figuring things out, and like it's like, can we trust you? Can we not? So that's my next question. I mean, I like preparing for this character. There's so much, I feel like, right? There's like the accent, and there's a lot kind of happening in regards to her situation at prison, and do we trust her or not? What is that mindset and preparation like for a complex character like this? I'm curious about that.
That's the best. That is the best when you've got all of this to draw upon, and so much, so much past and where she's grown up, and, growing up in communist Russia. What does that do to somebody? She's a survivor. She says it a lot throughout the show, but it's true. That's like literally how her brain works. She is programmed to survive. So that is really curious to me because I certainly haven't ever felt like that in my life. And that's when, I'm very privileged to have never felt like that in my life. And so that space that's occupied for her with surviving is occupied for me with fear and anxiety and guilt and questioning things that all like muddy the water in terms of just getting shit done, right? It's like, you know, Max is on a mission and she's so focused. And if you asked Max, like, what do you want for lunch? Her response isn't going to be like, I don't know, what do you want? Her response is going to be like steak.
Pizza.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I know what I want. I want it now. So it's an interest. It's such a fun. That's so fun for an act for me from my point of view.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, do an amazing job. And I love the kind of dialogue and the discourse back and forth with both your characters. What's that like kind of work with Noah? And what are those conversations like, you know, preparing for going on camera and on screen, kind of doing those scenes where there is this like ping pong match of like, can I trust her? You know what I mean? Can I trust Max, so to speak?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the fun part because these two are like yin and yang. They shouldn't be occupying the spaces together as much as they do, but they are, because they're kind of both really like, I don't know, addicted to, well, first and foremost, they need each other. So and she's like master manipulating him into this situation. And they're stuck in this situation with each other. But then on top of that, I think they're both like, you know, just danger fiends. They both find themselves in these dark spaces that they just can't get out of. So yeah, they're both there, and she recognizes that in him because she's got that in her. And so it's all of that. But it's very funny, me and Noah, like, because I guess I am so different to Max in looks, in voice, in my physicality and everything. It was like fun the first time that I stepped on set as Max, because Noah was just like, what? Oh my God. And I was like, it's weird, isn't it? And he was like, no, it's so awesome. And I was like, yeah, okay. So we kind of just went into the scene and both of us dropped in, you know, like just dropped into that space. And Max was in the, I know it sounds crazy, and I might sound like a woo-woo actress, but like Max was in the space and we did it. But then afterwards you kind of have to release and laugh because it is wild what we do. Like, and then I'm back in the makeup truck getting back into my own clothes and de-rigging that mad woman.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that too, like, because that's literally my next question as well. I mean, you're a storyteller. Like, Laura Haddock is a storyteller. That's what you do, basically. What is the best thing about being a storyteller, specifically, in your opinion?
I love it. The opportunity to empathize and sympathize with another woman, get into her head, get into her body, get into her history, her past, her present. I love it. I love it. It's such a privilege, and especially with parts like this, these don't come around very often. It's like one in every 10 years or something. I don't know. I feel very grateful to have played this part, and also it's not the kind of parts that I've played before. It's in my career has been peppered with these sorts of roles, so I'm super excited that they took a chance on me and they believed that I could do it, and that I got the opportunity to play Max, because I just have a lot of gratitude there.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and it's going to be premiering. It's going to be dropping December 16th on Netflix, which is amazing. It's exciting to know that a lot of people are going to be able to watch it over the holidays too. That's the best part about this.
Yeah, I know, that's cool. It's like a great time, isn't it? Because everyone's in and eating pizza and drinking mulled wine.
Pizza.
Watching the recruit.
Yes, with the phones down, right? Phones down, though.
Phones down, people. Let's make an announcement. Like in the cinema before you watch a movie.
Phones down, but pizza is allowed for sure.
Off, yeah.
December 16th on Netflix worldwide, The Recruit. Laura, thank you so much for your time. It was so good chatting with you.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.